Hey, Mr. Watson again. Welcome to my class. So what are we doing today? Transformer lab. See there, right where it says. So what do we need to do the transformer lab? Well, kind of obviously, you'll need a transformer. That's a transformer. Other things you're going to need is you're going to need a small plug-in AC power adapter. And you need one that's AC to AC, so it has to have an AC voltage out. You can tell by looking on the power adapter, make sure it says output is AC. This one says its output is AC 24 volts. So you want one that's fairly small, no more than 24 volts. That's about the most you want to have coming out of it. The other thing you're going to need, multimeter. So once you have your supplies, let's get started. First thing to do, set the multimeter to resistance. Okay, once you got the meter set to resistance, you're ready to do some tests of that transformer. Okay, you got a red and a blue wire and a pair of yellow wires. So one set is the primary, the input wires. One set is the secondary, the output wires. So let me get here between the blue and the red. And I just happen to know that on this particular transformer, this is the primary wires. So this is the input side. And I'm reading around 50 ohms. And yeah, see right there, around 50 ohms, a little bit less. So that's my primary reading. Then I want to move the meter leads, and I want to connect them up on the yellow wires. That's the secondary wires. And get my secondary reading. Yeah, I got my secondary ones hooked up. And it's about 1.2 ohms. Okay, what I tell you about here is when you're dealing with transformers, they have what's known as a winding ratio. And so, which is how many wires are wrapped around the primary, the input side, to how many wires are wrapped around the secondary, the output side. So what's the significance of that? Well, in theory, every time you wrap the wire around one side or the other, let's say this at the primary, you have a given amount of voltage of the input signal that is within each of the windings. So let's say we had a transformer that had 10 windings, wire wrapped around 10 times on the primary, and you sent in 10 volt signal. Well, then you would have 1 volt per winding. On the secondary side, if the wire wrapped around 100 times, in theory, you should have 10 times as much volts because it should have still 1 volt per winding. So on the output side, you should have 100 volts. And essentially, that's the way that you control changing the voltage using a transformer, is your winding ratio. If you have more windings on the primary, the input side, than the secondary, it steps the voltage down, becomes a lower voltage output. If you have more windings on the secondary than the primary, it steps the voltage up. It's also possible for it to be equal number of windings on the primary and the secondary, where it doesn't change the voltage. That form of transformer is known as an isolation transformer. So back to it, so we got these resistance readings. We had about 50 ohms on the primary, and we had about 1.5 ohms on the secondary. Well, just from the resistance readings, I know I have a lot more wire wrapped around the primary side than the secondary. So in action, this transformer, that one right there, that should be a step-down transformer. But, well, let's verify that. So how we're going to verify that, there's that power adapter. So what I got to do right now, plug it into outlet. Then I want to switch this meter. I'm going to switch it to AC voltage. And because this is AC, Even though I'm connecting red to red, black to black, I don't have to. AC does not have polarity. Okay, so I got that hooked up. And look at this. I have 28.8 volts coming out of that transformer, which since the label said 24 volt AC transformer, that's about right. Now what I want to do is connect these wires, connect this to the input wires, primary wires of this transformer. So now I got the voltage going into the transformer, and I'm going to hook the multimeter to the output side, the two yellow wires, and see what I get coming out. Look at that, I got 4.4 volts coming out. So I had 28 volts going in and around 4 volts coming out. So that tells me that in reality, yes, this is a step-down transformer. You get less voltage out than goes into it. And even though by resistance it was showing the winding ratio was roughly 50-1, in reality, it's about 6-1. And so the output voltage is about 1/6 of what's going into it. Well, that's essentially how you do this lab today. That's all. Have a great day.